What's up, Wrap Shop Talk? Brent not here today, and I wanted to go over something that's discussed in our industry very often, but again, is never really broken down. And the topic of the day is Trello. What is Trello? Trello is a project management tool that's going to allow you to basically, in layman's terms, create a virtual or digital post-it note board. Because we all know that when we write something down on a piece of paper, put it in our pocket, and then it goes through the wash and it's lost forever. So essentially, Trello is just an awesome digital post-it note board in which you can keep track of all of your things and all of your tasks and or projects. Now, why should somebody need something like Trello? Well, as you grow and scale your business, you have to start to extract things out of your mind and put them down where your team can leverage these resources and or create these resources for you. Without having this in place, you're basically gonna be stuck like Chuck and also in the arc ages of dealing with paper. Is something like Trello absolutely required? Absolutely not, but you're making your life a lot more difficult by not leveraging software within the workplace. I recommend using some form of software, and the best software to use is the one that you use. Meaning, you must like the interface, you must like the ease of use, you must like the system itself, because if you don't like the system, you're not going to use it. That 100% is true. I deal with a lot of people that deal with software, and if you don't like it, you won't use it. What is Trello not? Trello is not a great CRM. Now, what is the difference between a CRM and a project management tool? The layman's definition of a CRM is a place in which you communicate to your customers. I've found that more often than not, a great CRM does not make a great project management tool, and a great project management tool usually doesn't make a great CRM. There's just something lacking somewhere. It could be data metrics and reporting, etc. as you grow and scale in the grander scheme of things, but on the early stages, these are less of an issue. So now let's hop into the software and kind of see exactly what are you going to experience whenever you sign up for Trello. So what's cool about Trello is it's free. Whenever you have a free software, well, that's also what you're going to get, is you're going to have to do a lot of work. It's very DIY. And I wanted to make this video to where you can save you some many hours of looking at other people going through Trello and making a video very specific to our trade. So when you first arrive on Trello, the very first thing that you're going to see, a page that looks like this. So what is a list? When you first arrive into Trello, that's the first thing it says is add a list. A list is a lot like a filing cabinet. It's the drawer that you open. And so that drawer, or that vertical in the case of Kanban is the view that we see here. If we click add a list, it's going to say, well, enter a list name. What do we put here? I don't know. If you have not watched our video yet on how to dial in your SOPs in your business, click the link, check out that video where you can organize your business to best prepare yourself on what is the customer journey through your company. All right, so the very first thing that I like to put is upcoming. So what this means is maybe I don't have all the details, etc., and I'm just going to start a standby list. And actually, let me take that back. I'm gonna make a template list. And what I mean by a template list is I'm going to pre-create a card to where I can make a duplicate of it to where I'm not having to retype over and over and over again. Because one of the downfalls of Trello, which you'll see later, is it's more of just a comment box and doesn't really have custom fields. It does have custom fields, but the problem is they're under the comment box and it's kind of just weird. So the next thing that I have is like up and coming. Next list might be needs deposit or needs estimate, okay? And then needs deposit. And then what else can we put in here? Let's say we have needs estimate, needs deposit, and then needs design work, standby, okay? So let me command minus a little bit so I can see a little more. Cool. So here is just a generic list setup. Now, you can use Trello however you want. However, what I have found to be the best, and I've seen, clarify here, I've seen somebody who just left or right just build out their entire business in one board. And that brings me to the next thing. What is a board? A board is what I would call your department, in my opinion. Instead of putting all of your departments into one board, making this thing where you have to scroll left or right, instead, We can simplify our job responsibilities for our employees by creating multiple boards for your staff to work through. I would come over here and do another board. I would create test design, okay, and hit enter. And then now I have a test design board. I don't know why it threw a different background in here, but we'll just roll with it. Okay, so now I can have, okay, needs, or let's just call it up and coming. Okay, and so we're still on the list topic for the most part, but basically what I'm doing is I'm taking my prior video where I've now organized my business and I'm coming into Trello and I'm outlining my business. Okay, so boards or departments. That first board is test. Let me go up here and rename it real quick. Test admin. Okay. Then we have test design. So essentially what we're doing here is we are going to build out multiple departments. So we have upcoming, right? Then we have, gathering more info, right? So let's just say we need more data from the customer and your designer is speaking to the client. Now, personally, the administrative should already have all of this because good information in, good information out, shit information in, you get the rest. But I digress. So let's just say proof needed or proof sent, proof approved. Now I'm being very generic here because I'm trying to not make this a very long video, but I want to inspire you on how you can build out your Trello in very simple terms if you're just starting off. So cool. And then like move to printing. Okay. Perfect. And so now you can build another board and I can say printing, test printing. Okay. Create. All right. So now I have a test printing board. I'm going to just say upcoming. And this way, again, it's like your standby list of all the work that came from the prior department and it stacks into a board. Pre-flight. Let's just say work order needed. Pre-flight. Printing. Table work. Right? And so these are the general vague steps within the print department. Obviously there's plotting and lamination, etc., but you can label those in other ways. I don't like to do too many vertical categories because then you're also making, let's say your print technician, like a lot of people are using latex printers. So if you print latex, you print that whole kit and you just remove it off the reel and you throw it on the laminator, you're gonna run it through immediately. So in my opinion, I don't want my print tech having to constantly move cards and take out of his day. Once you get more than one employee per se, and you're doing roll to roll, that's a little different. But at first, this is built around the average general shop in the wrap industry. From there, you'll go to installation and then completed, okay? So I like to have these 5 boards, which is admin, design, print and production, install, and completed. That framework is your entire company from top to bottom, and now you can kind of see also where your bottlenecks are. Because if you were to go to like, look at your different boards and you saw that you had 27 cards sitting in graphics and you have 5 sitting in install, 1, you can tell your installers, hey, we have a big wave of work coming, but 2, why do you have a bottleneck in design? Is it that we're not emailing the customers enough? Is it that we're not turning those around fast enough? What is causing that bottleneck? And you can start to answer questions within your business. The next question that Trello asks us to add once we get our list and our boards together is add a card, right? So if I want to add a card, I'm going to call this card my wrap template. Okay. So a lot of wrap shops offer multiple services, and this is where I feel that you can kind of pre-game some of your stuff to where administratively you're saving yourself some time. So let's just say we have graphics/decals template. We're going to have a signage template. Let's say you do permitted signs template. right? So you can go ahead and pre-game some of these cards. So now, this is inside a card. Now, a card is quite literally like when you're looking in the manila folder in that filing cabinet, we're going to extract a document, okay? This is the document that we're extracting. And so here, it's like most companies, especially early on, 1 to 3 employees, you're just gonna say, Johnny wants a F-350 full wrap. Needs design. Like, I'm kind of laughing because I just remember myself, when I first started doing this stuff, like going back and looking 1 or 2 years later at the cards, it was bad because it didn't give you enough detail to look at and go back in the past. Needs branding or logo. Typically, we're just gonna write really vague descriptions in here if we weren't to build a template. So now you have to ask yourself as a business, what do I really want? So if I was paying somebody and because a lot of times it's not necessarily that you're being lazy as a business owner, it's because you're juggling 19 things and you don't have enough bandwidth to really sit here and be detailed, right? When you really should be. But when you go to hire your first administrative person, how do you tell them what to do in their job description to where you don't have to babysit them on every single card that they make? Well, let me tell them my FAQs. All right, so basically I'm gonna start to identify, okay, well, I want the customer's details. I want name, phone, email, company name, preferred method of contact. What else would I like to see? I would like to see scope of work. Okay. So right here, I'm going to change this to a heading, bold. So I would at the very least like to see customer. The administrative person dealing with a customer must ask these questions. What is your name, phone number, email, company name, preferred method of contact? And then scope of work, enter descriptive notes about the project below. So essentially, you're telling the administrative person what to ask for. So what should they ask for? Year/make/model. So year/make/model of vehicle. Budget, if you guys are asking that question. Design, yes/no. Installed in-house or on-site. So basically just go through and figure out all the frequently asked questions that you're going to ask the customer anyway. If anything, if you want to hack on how to really get the nitty-gritty on this, is record yourself with a cell phone using Loom, okay? Record yourself doing a phone call with a customer interaction. Take the transcript, load it into ChatGPT and say, please give me the deliverables in a SOP format of this transcript, and it will tell you exactly what you've asked that customer as an outline. That's a pro tip. Now we're good. So what's cool is now we can copy paste this. So we have this card here that is a wrap template. We're gonna make this card a template, okay? So here you can see that this card is a template. Now we're gonna go to graphics. We're gonna do the same thing. So I'm not gonna go through the scope of work, but find out what your frequently asked questions are here. Make the card a template. So on and so forth. Make the card a template. Permanent signs. Make the card a template. So when a new inquiry comes in and somebody calls you on your cell phone, you're like, okay, yeah, what services are you looking for? Okay, I'm looking for a vehicle wrap. You can come over here, you can grab this card, and then now you can say wrap dash customer name dash vehicle dash service, like, you know, like coverage, like full wrap, whatever. And then you're gonna put it in upcoming. Cool. So now you've copied that card and immediately you have all the data propagated that you were trying to seek from the customer. And what's nice about this is when you hand this off, you only have to do this a couple times, then you go hire you an administrative person, they have exactly what they need to do. And then now you have an accountability tool. So, fantastic. Now, I will briefly go over custom fields. I don't like them in Trello because of this. When you add a custom field, Okay, let's see. Okay, maybe we won't add custom fields because it's not a part of the free plan. But custom fields look a lot like this. Let me go to one of my old boards here. Let me go to my workspace, and we're gonna go to design it, and we're gonna go to my admin board. And so you can add like custom fields. Now they're worth using on certain things, but I like custom fields for customer name, phone number, email, etc. I have tried to figure out if there was a way for me to move the custom fields on top and then have the description box below, but I have yet to figure that out. You'd think that you would be able to grab this right here, this little hamburger menu or the custom fields, and just drag it up. But of course, that's one of the downfalls of using a free software. Here, custom fields are things like due date. I could put a field for the estimate to where we knew exactly where to look for when we did quote it. I would put our last proof URL. Now, what I mean by I would put our last proof is I would put the location in our server link there. And that way the administrative staff can go pull up the proof for the customer very quickly inside the server. I did a lot of wholesale printing, so we had a wholesale square foot module, and then we had a start date, and then we would select what material combo we were using for that to where the print department would know. So those are some very brief examples of custom fields that you can add or not use. It's up to you because you're going to run your business how you want to. Play around with that. So now that we have all the customer's details, you know, we need to set up an estimate. You can use our spreadsheet on one of our other videos of how to properly quote projects. There's a free download on that link. And so now you've procured an estimate for that customer. You can move them over to needs deposit. And you can only imagine if you had 10 customers that are in the estimation phase or 10 people that are in the deposit phase. Now you have an actual working list of people that you can follow up with without having to remember everybody in your brain. And also more importantly, you can just tell your administrative staff, hey, make sure to follow up with all the needs deposits every 3 days, something along those lines. Now, theoretically, let's say we are ready to, let's say we're ready to move to design. So how do we do that? Because all of our design stuff is in a different board. It's in a different filing cabinet. So you basically just click move and you go to board equals, and it's going to have a lot of boards here, but test design upcoming. Okay. So now that card is in the new department. It's almost as if you scanned it out of your department and you put it in the design department. And this is going to be very awkward for you 1 to 2 man, 1 to 3 man crews where you guys are wearing multiple hats. However, build your business as if you were thinking 2 years in advance, because it really sucks going backwards when you're too busy to fix some of your scaling problems within your systems and software. And essentially, design is just like the admin board. The designer is going to carry out their responsibilities. They're going to move the cards to and from their positions and move it to printing, so on and so forth. So this is very repetitious at that point. It's just each department has their own different list or verticals that you're going to be placing them within. Now, one thing I will put here before we move on is when a card is, let's move it to, there's a step. I'm conflicted on where this step goes, even in my own business, whether it goes into the print department or for the designer. Personally, I like my print department to set up our work orders to where the designers can keep designing new projects. Let me go to test printing and move it over here. So when your card is stationed in work order needed, what's really cool about Trello that it does do very well is, let me just go grab work order, grab a random image of a work order. So what's really cool about Trello is the work orders sit on top of the card to where you can actually see the work order without clicking into the card. So basically it's kind of like the tab on top of the vanilla folder where you can see the subject matter before you open a folder to take a peek inside. Basically what I've done is you could either drag onto the card the image, or you can copy paste the image, whichever suits you. But basically I make it the cover photo. And so now when I look at my board, I can see all of my projects with the work order on top. And that way, my production team and my install team can visually click and see exactly what is required for that project. So they can open it up, they can zoom in, etc., and work that job in accordance to said work order. Now, that's the gist of how to set up your business inside of Trello, right? However, being that Trello is a free program, it's a lot like driving a Honda Accord. It's gonna get you from A to B. It's gonna do a ton for you, especially compared to a bicycle, which is essentially using just pen and paper and work orders that way. Thing of the past, how do we kind of supercharge this and get it to operate a little bit better than the standard applications? So there is a marketplace for Powerups. And what are Powerups? Powerups are basically add-ons that you can add to your Trello. Not all of them are free. So let's just go to click add Powerups. And one note, Powerups, I believe you have to, it's been a while since, I believe you have to add each Powerup to each board. Now, depending on the person selling the Powerup, if they are a paid Powerup, double check in the plan if it has a limit of how many boards you're utilizing. Because it is more processing power for the Powerup, and therefore it might be more expensive. And that might inhibit how you set your boards up based on your budget. Now, this is an example of some of the Powerups that are available in Trello. And there are a lot of options, like tons. One of the best things to do is just go, so featured is one thing to take a peek at, because obviously like these are either ads or frequently used. My favorite thing to try to do is made by Trello. Why? Problem with Trello is a Honda Accord's really reliable. However, you can make a badass sleeper Honda Accord bolting on a turbocharger, but it's no longer reliable, right? And that's the difference between an OEM product and a souped up aftermarket product. No matter how much care and attention you put into that aftermarket product, there are things that are going to break because it is not normal for that vehicle to have those components. So immediately just taking a look here, Box is basically like a DocuSign. Calendar Powerup is pretty much needed. My favorite calendar Powerup inside of Trello is Plannyway. I believe it's a paid for app though. The problem with the factory calendar in Trello, I believe, is that it doesn't let you select multiple days. It doesn't create like a bar to where, you know, a lot of our installs are more than one day. Therefore, you need to account for that and then be able to color code it based on maybe the installer, etc. Highly recommend adding Google Drive to your item to where the whole team can quickly access it if you don't have a server, or maybe you're using remote designers, etc. Google Drive is a great Powerup to have. Another Powerup that I highly recommend is the Gmail Powerup. I'm not going to open my email and show it on a YouTube video, but essentially what the Gmail Powerup does is while you're in your Gmail, let's say a customer sends you an email and says, hey, I would like to proceed with another order of 2 vehicles, it's this and this. You can take that email, click the add-ons on the side. I'll put a screenshot on the side of this video so you can understand what it is. One of the downsides of using the Gmail app is you've made templates to create consistency within all of your cards, but when you use the Gmail app, the description is going to be whatever the body is. It's convenient, but personally anymore, we have dual screen monitors. I would just have my Gmail on the left-hand side, and I would have my Trello on the other, and I would just transpose as much data as possible and fill in the blanks wherever it is needed. So while I do like the Gmail Powerup, it also promotes laziness in the team and also breaks SOP. Another Powerup that I do recommend that's fantastic is Card Aging. It is just a very simple app. The Card Aging Powerup basically just lets you go in and you set a time. You say basically if this card has had no activity in X days, days, whatever you set it to, it'll start to crumble. And it has like multiple phases to where it's like, I'm kind of old, or like got some cobwebs on it, all the way to just like deteriorated. And it just means that it is stagnant, stuck. We need to do something about it. It helps you keep your boards cleaned up. You can even make an additional board just called stuck, and you can move a lot of stuff there in case the customer disappeared or whatever, or make a vertical list for all of your stagnated cards. So with all that said, Trello is a fantastic tool, especially if you've never used any software in your business. It's very simple, it's very intuitive, it costs $0. Some of my concerns are that it really is a poor CRM. A lot of us business owners, we run our whole business out of our cell phone. What ends up happening is what happened to me, which was as I started to accrue more staff, all of my systems and processes at the time meant that the customer called me on my cell phone, and or they called my business phone, which usually got forwarded to my cell phone. And I trained my customer to only deal with me. It took me a year plus to unravel that to where my customers would listen to what I was telling them of, you need to speak to XY person in the XY position. You need to talk to my administrative staff. Why? Because I'm handling this over here. These are my responsibilities right now in my business. And if I don't handle those, then I'm doing you a disservice because I'm half-assed recording a note on a piece of paper while I'm installing to then have it go through the wash, right? So in order for us to actually serve you to the highest degree, we need to start thinking about how we're teaching our customers to actually talk to us. The CRM side of things, definitely recommend having something else, some form of software. You can use Trello, no problem. You just make another board just called sales, okay? And you write out your sales steps. That's how I started. But you're not really capable of emailing through it or texting through it. It has poor data tracking for KPIs. Outside of visual, which of course, if you're early on in business, KPIs are important, but you don't have enough resources to really worry about it. That's not really the problem in your business just yet. And so as you grow, Trello, unfortunately, you need to do some stuff on the back end like Zapier or Make and export data to a spreadsheet in order to actually get any form of dashboard or KPIs of like, what's our average time from estimate created to received money, to where we can actually forecast our cash flow, etc., to where you can make big decisions in your business without being terrified. So those are a couple of the small issues. The biggest issue is Trello is phenomenal, but it requires some power-ups to really get it going. And that just sometimes makes it not reliable. So for example, you can email out of Trello. I did it. It's called Sendboard, and it's a power-up that I didn't recommend. And the reason why is, unless you put all of your business into one board, you can't really use Sendboard. And the reason why is because each board has a board ID, and then each card has a card ID. When you send an email, it tracks the board ID as well as the card ID. When you move that card ID to another board ID, it no longer sees that the card exists inside that board. And so when a customer responds to you, and maybe the card is now in design and you emailed them while it was in the administrative board, it'll generate a new card inside of the administrative area. And it became very cumbersome because it was like a broken source of communication. Now I would have to copy paste that email, throw it into the card that's in a whole different board, etc. And it just wasn't clean. So I kind of just stuck to Gmail for that at the time. Sometimes the power-ups go down. So like there's maybe like a maintenance or like just a blip where something's not working. And if you're relying on it and Trello's working, but the power-up isn't, then you have some issues there, right? That's pretty much it for Trello. I mean, I just wanted to make this video to try to provide as much value as possible for all the Trello users out there, to where you guys can DIY this thing together to work for your business. The very first thing you should do is map your business. Go watch that video. Second thing you should do is come in here and plug the steps, and then let it ride for 30 or 60 days. Don't keep making changes. Try to just notice where you experience friction, add it to your map and say, do I need a power up for this? Do I need another list or vertical column? Do I need another board? What do I need to solve this friction that I'm experiencing? If you just let things go for 30, 60 days, it'll help you prove or disprove whatever that you're trying. But if you change it too quickly, you're just modifying stuff, and don't do that. The reason why you shouldn't just constantly modify stuff is because you're driving your team crazy. And I lost good staff frankly. I went through 7 iterations of Trello before I landed on this outline. My team was just like, oh, here's Brent again with another crazy idea, another dream, another this or that. And we were never really pushing the needle because we were too busy changing things constantly. So it's kind of like I was taking my Honda Accord, I was putting it in the shop, and I was never actually going out and driving. Highly recommend Trello for the new shop. If you want, I've created a very simple map that you can expand upon. There's a download link in the bottom of the description of this video. That map will give you at least general broad steps that I feel are in the wrap business, and then you can start to generate the sub steps below each one of those pieces. And that's just to kind of give you a jump start forward. If you are wanting to book a call with me and literally just walk through your business, I have no problem doing that. I do charge for this, where we consult for kind of auditing your business and then building that map itself. I do that with you. That's a done for you service. I'm happy to help there as well. But yeah, thank you again, guys, for watching these videos, and I enjoy making them. We'll be making some more deeper dives into Trello potentially. We are also going to be going through Asana and Monday as well. We'll be rocking and rolling through a couple different softwares based on what you guys use. So if you use a different software, comment below. Let me know what you're using. I'm familiar with almost all of them because I tried them all before I landed where I'm at now, which is Torque CRM. So if you could, like, comment, and subscribe. See you on the next one. Peace.